다대야 아데 다리 녀동 주숨기 나와 담배 에 니마 당부 차대요래 제산디 겁든 뒤세 내일패배 세계만소 탐질이야 로사베 드실리슈아이
So today is the first day of the first month of 2013, and taking this occasion, I would like to express my greetings to all the monastic and non-monastic Sangha.
I want to say Happy New Year for all of you. Daja 新年快乐. 녀동 중년으로 나로리아 미망부시 심서를 지역체 다지 녀동 중년 진드 중년 나도 봐지 전부리라 냥가 전부로 지용 그래서 근제기 가르쳐다 루머 상을 루머 사람들다 가다 되게 깨지지요 제자지 되게 심서 좀 중요하래 다이면 아주 녀동 중년이 안베 로르드 유에체 녀동 주숨 사빈 두산에 미상으로 지 로데브 체차브로 지당 안 라랴 아주 지 서딘 디토리아 대체 에너지 디지단 되 론스제하게 그거 사바토들이야 예 가수르다지 참으로리아 아주 쉬워요.
In 2012, there was some kind of a rumor or talk that the world would have some dangers, and therefore lots of people were very worried. But now that time has passed, and we have now arrived in the 2012, and so now we can be in peace, and that we can stay on this earth and enjoy the positive things of this earth. So we have found a new beginning. And so on this occasion, I would like to felicitate all of you on this occasion.
아니 로사베 나로리아 랭게 성로 공감 상화당 에너지 최단지 dengi chawa thamje lamdol hongba dana singi kina zu de jeltho gi phama yunje la zhobo chomo sa ro changlo yinbi liang kina zu gyuje ye zhaxi ba dang dilin zhuye myndu shuye
So in this new year that's beginning, I would like to give my auspicious greetings and prayers that all of you will have good health and all your endeavors in Dharma as well as in your worldly activities may go very well. And not only that, but all your close people like your parents, your brothers and sisters, your family members and friends, all of them may become well, and I would like to express this to all of them through you, this Tashidelek, that there may be auspiciousness and well-being all the time with you and all the people that's related to you.
당하라 이미네 저 로사베 나로리아 가장지 아주 도지된기 다 투바 투베기 저규 군들이야베 멜라로스 캡세 다 간다리야 더지기 나라 미진들이야 다 간다지 가슈에고 충두네 다지 라마르 두고르 지레사르 지기지 충브레 문에로 가리 나랑가 하고메 되게 개바스 게임인도다 수이나이 개바스 게임인도 다 간다리야 지갈리아 지 상기 까마베 지 첸지 지지 구야예베디 나랑 다 가리 이메일 마되바 다 간다 지 심진 신리아 펜바 소수인 죄나 지 펜바 주비아기 고급을 상부지임비 문내를 슈데에 문진을 슈데에 지당은 이제 지나 미타메 버지기 에는 이제 천주 선바 신비기 베다 자바드 칠레 용사데 용도야 매버지 소수에게 내세를 내버지 레디 따이미네지 이 고급 상부지 예미지당 미상물로 이제 고급지 도움이 아버지 대야 조지지 영감어봐 군진 공마 탐지다 나버도 계속 주루버 신비에게 따지 마랑리아지 투지의 실업 나와라 되는다 충분히 지내 삼바로도 스탠딩에 근데 임비 준선 되네 당하는 게지 천딜이 임비네야 가서다 지 류가 이송기 관에 심지 탐제라 펜토버기와 이제 그 말람 가장 도스지기 자베 기저럽지 이제 망고발이네야 이 체럽니 체럽 탐제도 되네 가서다지 덴두와 지난주 상으로 리미네야 나랑게 류가 이송기 관에 펜디를 주투야기 말람 슈이 다디 얘라 로사베기다 하나 지난주 피야 락다스는 장도 기프트스는 장도 되게 명람데 지난주에 피야이 엔디 지난주디 투조부 용배 조슈
As for myself, on this New Year's morning, as I have been yesterday or some other day to the Buddha in Buddha Gaya, and in front of the Buddha Gaya Buddha, I made these prayers that generally in my life, right from the beginning, since I was very young, I was thought to be a lama or a tulku. I cannot say myself what kind of rebirth of I am, but since I have received this title or a great name of being the reincarnation of the Buddha Karmapa, so I take it as a great opportunity, an opportunity to be able to serve and help lots of beings. Although me as such a kind of ordinary being cannot perform all the activities or all the great activities of the Bodhisattva or great Bodhisattva, but I take it as a special opportunity for me to perform their activities. And this title that I have received have come with the blessings of the former Karmapas and especially of the 16th Karmapa, and that's how I take it. So therefore, I would like to pray and make a kind of a commitment that in this life, as well as in all the lives to come, I would like to, with all my efforts of body, speech, and mind, that I will be able to help beings of all kinds. This is my prayer, this is my dedication, and not only that, but I would also like to pray that all of you who are devoted, who are followers, the friends of me, that you will also be able to perform with your body, speech, and mind all the positive things and become very useful and helpful to all the beings, lots of beings. This prayer that I make is my gift to you for the new year. I have nothing else to give except this prayer for all of you.
The perfect reality is reality. Tithon Shevina, Gangalo, Sangloji, Gamabur Chadi. We need to turn about one Shevina, Sangalo Gamaba, Chachovida, Gamabacheron, Tindichunarale, Pendondo, Namiji Gamabachona, Jisangi Tamji Chile, Yagachin, some action man, Chegochuna, Kalahabada. Any today in Visane and the Kandar Tertulia, Sangulia, Marana Tobe, Jisimji Tamjil Pended Druaki, Hogab, Kandre Toban Nancy, Kinasoli Binia, Tena Shingitaji, Pended Drube, Tak Hogab Senandando, Tanashi, Chagan of Senandando, the Sangulo, Santuyaki, Javashudi. Inaya and Gauzulia, pressure, Gazu, Hogab Toba Kansigilia, Gazu, pressure meva, Samology, Bemen Ruyantia, men of shooting.
Actually, in reality, I feel that I should not be the only one to have this opportunity to serve people and have this great kind of facilities to help people with the name of Karmapa. I actually wish that all of you could become something like Karmapa. And this is my sincere prayer that as I have this great opportunity and special circumstances to be able to help all these beings, may all of you also get the similar kind of opportunities in future, all the facilities that you could be of very great help to lots of people. And that also, when you have that opportunities and that special occasions and special circumstances to be able to help other people. It will not be that you have some kind of a pressure that you have to do, but all your activities will become spontaneously accomplished and without any pressure at all. This is my prayer.
Namo Bhagavate Sumero Kalparanjaya Tathagatāya Arhate Samyak Sambuddha Tadyatha Kalpe Kalpe Maha Kalpe Kalpe Parishoda Samba Tamje Drobje Tawe Meb Namye Do Sala Tuje Je Sorbe Bala Jemba Mo
다드네 오 다가산디 마 지시 주사네 다드네 니바 미다바 고말라스 가담루 이자웨 칭아네 담보미 유르데바스 자웨 칭아체 담보미 유르데바스 Ore Tambo Mingyo Deva Samse Nugenje Denya Tambo Cha Pardo Ne Tarmi Juji Ne Tedu Ne Tewe Dujen Samya Milu Nanin Talo Karsan Terin So Londaya Yi Yusi Jugen Rowa Tamje Gyami Dade Da Tambo Pujungi Duden Raji Yu Tenjeba Denda Dene Shambana Denda Da Geban Denda Tane Chiwa La Sharenda Re Jini Chidu Gedo Nube Jera Kandanyo Shindajiwa Mando San Shewe Rangwe Genpa Shenpa Nanyam So Tata Yongwa Namle Kyang Rangye Tene Tata Penji Shisimbi Mima Dena Dindra Yueba Dina Dindra Yueba Shi Tena Dindra Yueba Shu Tedra Gyur Gene Shiwa Ne Rinsun Sane Me Pechire Samlang Chenlang Mebar Lubur Hotum Gashi Jishi Dindra Shere Mashiwa Gashi Tonbo Ne Ma Ne To Zhangbo Ne Chu Chubo Zhangwa So Chitong Chitu Midaba Kona Le Mande Bedala Tendra Shi Namu Tane Longab Jungse Yudzi Tambe Chwele Zundu Mijire Nyamdo Sam Chigen Mamba Yang Sam Shebe Bab Dibri To Chibga Langda Wla So Chigen Shido Mawe Chinda Shi Ongme Shi Namzaya Ongme Shi Le Yuena Miyongwe Tame Senro Kwe Cho Khoryo Soge Gyaran Chiwe Gen Chidra Cheme Shi Namchi Chamebe Tadaranya Chidran Gyunyam Chadogub Chanju Sembe Dene Lubru Chiwe Gyugu Somba Ne Kase Medreba Sawa Sedangya Mado Sawa Ngama Mashuchima Sawa Shengji Dusu Midowa Nebe Membada Neyo La Minyeba Duen Chabe Daba Gyungmen Loba Madabe Chaju Jeba Pamebra Chuba Jeba De Dalayang Pasun Ducha Shigar Chidran Gyunyam Gomse Chiwa Di Mindu Todo Baba Madon Deba Tando Lawa Mi Kasa Dibal Chinangule Neba Lawa La Chigar Neju Tseme Bada Gebra So Chebe Soa Yang Awa Yue Chunang Loba Duma Chara Lusim Yiga Rangwando Mindubi semla jijen ya cue me be me gi we sim jong wo ye ya chi ge sim to dan de me nge song do ge nge de ya ta de gong ba la ra le be ta da ra ne chue la gong ba che mo do me je rim ru sen ro so ye lu me do ba da je me sang gi gi du ya se se ba la do do me mi chi we tam ne me gam ti du mi ge ba je da da tyong go shi ne chi de ge wa sam ji shi sa ne ko lu ge we ge bo yin ge se kam ji lu ko le que lu ga nor do bo ji ge wa me chen ge tham ba shi gyang chi wa me ba lu ro ko su dum ne ta gu dam gu gi gyo lo da sha xian ne xu yan me se wa me che bu lu gi ge wa da ba jun ji zhang ge chang lan de ji dian po ru cha me yu du yu me ban jam le ga na ge xie sun zhang di ba che sin ba de gu dam ne me ta be che da ge we peng ya 다다 준비 머루나 티두 기사 야사 땡게네 수야 메바소 검된 도나 다다네 최미제베 타메 최된 아랑거 샤베 메조런 유래 저거 유래 저와라 공괴thiên 때바통네 치거 랑가시 신군기 처반남다 디세네 착주기 유도 제바제 거버도 수시 시송 아카카 가시지기 창말로 가시지 창 말로게 라마친 세네 텐다랑가 토는 뉴와 마르소와 당 남시 시규인 바시 야레지 미지냐마다 남시 샤메과 템바마도 비경예레다 제베는 주딩이 나와로는 천개기 접아셔봐서 닝메바 인도베 nga che che ja la se ta da ra chi da gu dung na lep sa we chwe dong du be se nor do ge nye ra so la sam lo dong no me do nyam ne lu nga yi zu chu ge san la ju de she da swe de do du ba da nga chi chi je lo la zhang ba nam ja te da ge ning le ji den chi wa le mi ji ba a za nyam nyam be lo tong bi ba da mi je wa cha o da de di chi wa mi da ba ding ya chi wa mi da ba le ya an ka dam be ge 치와 미다바 이게 domsik nga yare tithone ma chiwa midabo gumsi sungu yares.
So this is talking about the impermanence of death. So to contemplate on that, the Kadampa masters have taught the 5 points on how to meditate on this. So this is an explanation of these 5 points.
당부디 엔 미드인 규르스 다고 균디 고 가르스 균디 모두 데데가 아마도베 뭐베 균디 모두 데데가 아마도베 균아마 데다 치마딘 균아마 가네고 치마디 가르스레기 게임으로 빼나 다난 셔베기 다 미디다 다대기 미디 다 윤집을 돼 임비냐 다난 셔베 미디 라고 가지고 직사업서 그러면 진심으로 지래 대사업을 지래 제가 딘제가 주될 때는 딱 간다 호배 추수 까르면 돼요 봐 교환 주고 알아 근데 저거 추수를 빼려는 약속이다 추수에디 에너지 당기디 가르치기 대해서 다란 되면 꼬착착착착 교루로 봐. 어떤 뒤에서 제제 추수의 디기 가서로 가르던 거였잖아. 뭐부 탐지 교환조들이 예비지다. 끼지 참모자면 믿어 봐. 지 가서에 봐. 조디기 예비지. 뒤뒤인 거야.
So the first of this is that nothing lasts, nothing stops. So we need to think about that. Everything changes. Although we can see the continuum, there is a continuum for everything, but everything changes moment by moment, minute by minute, hour by hour. We think that what we were before, or a few minutes before, or something like that, is the same as now. But actually, it's not like that. Everything has changed. Only it's a continuum. The best example to understand this seems to be the hour, the clock. If you look at the clock, it always ticks on. It never sits still. It never stops. It just completely all the time, continuously, go on and on and on. So therefore, there is no one moment that things do not change. Things remain as it is. Everything changes. But because there is the continuum, so therefore we misunderstand it as this is remaining there. So this is something we need to think about and reflect on.
Now, didn't Juan Rubina? Azul Juan Rubdi Hagumas, Chibuchi, Tanashabe Middle, Taza Tadem Midi, which was on the art, the Garrison. What Julia Tabar Tree, that the Mutiny, that Randa Zigdavi, Mutiny, Devitelia, and Tabar Tree. The Jiggy and Tone, Okaji. Mitabai Moma Trevere, Madobe, a turn you want to do. Tended. Penanzu, Buchunjin, sometime Tataji, sometime. Buchunjin, Tata Mission Buchadiadi, Nimachilia, Topjago Gal, Kashreji, Duateva schema. You be the mission, Chutu Kamachini, Duachini, and it Nakadara, that mission Buchare. Just a tea, Takada. Midaba, Miduba,
So we think that what I am in the morning is the same person in the evening because it looks the same thing. But this is our wrong perception. We just see the continuum, and because there is a continuum that we misunderstand as being permanent. So therefore, we do not understand the impermanence. So if we look, for instance, the way we were when we were a baby or a child, and then when we become kind of a grown-up and old person, we can see lots of differences. But these changes didn't take place just at a certain time. The changes were going on all the time, gradually, every moment. And then, so therefore, the impermanent is something that is a reality that's happening all the time. So we need to understand it, we need to realize it and reflect on it.
Tatane Nibadi Shenda Shua Mandosams. Shenda Shua Sedusan, Mishenda Shidu de Manzam Dangres. Mishinda, Shua Jibo Mare, Mishinda and Yuandrueva, Chubu Jango Chandrueva, Tombo Mabo Chandrueva. Tagana Shingi, Tene Kajureda, Shumba Lona Chujun de Yalurudu, Beneji, Modala Sobe, Tujela Sobe, accident charge, any or Shidu Yuva. That de la Soba, that go some Dona Mambucheji. The Dig Tone and the Kandara Chua Midaba Sadi and in the Kandarian Kajuji Susu Mizinangi Kandaraji Chashir Mizidang Mizinangi da Mizichilolia Yede Nizu Mayma Mizinangolia Tunshim Nizu Susu Tonto Nyonsong Tone Bear Kajuri Kuri, Kujuri, Didiji Maji, Motrawadi, that Gajamur Chadiare, Dayimbinia, Nzu Pakaduina, Nzu Patuga Lela Redi, Zuzuade, is Galahabrajare, Cheza, Lamatabakashigi, Shishimas, Renichua Soms. Shinda Janga Shitting Janga Samdanta, or the Shidua, Big Shidua, said Ninjas by Yushar. 이네 누구 주주는 교랑 시거를 다 누구 주주요나 아니 신이고 가르쳐다지 나랑 시거를 다 선발하지 가르쳐해 증거를 봐 그래서 아주 되게 딱세 담배 걸이야 지 자취입니다 제가 임비스베 가르쳐다 롤롬 뭐가最小的 이나 다 소소 미다베 임비스 다 하고 준비 추진 강지 사주와 준비 추진 강지 준비 추진도 유슈아 다 간다 전에 자취입니다 제가 빼나 분바신 사람으로 당문에 지나 분바도 봐요지 빼나 나랑신 살잖아 야보여서 드린두산 딱 간다야 교랑야 제바 인상 미다바레 미다바 인상 가르 유원조레 제상 다다베 손부여비네 시조레 사르지 누구도 주 가나도 거제 수술이야 주고도
So the second point is think that many other people have died. This is the instruction from the Kadampas. So we can see people who have died, but this is not just about death. We can also see how changes take place. People who have been very prominent have fallen down. People who were beggars become very rich. Rich men have become beggars. And things keep on changing. The young people, the children become young and like that. So we can see that things are changing all the time. But then it's not only that you look outside and say, there it's changing. The things are, impermanent. We need to look at ourselves. It's easy to point our fingers outside. It's more difficult to point our fingers inside to myself. And this is very important. We said that I am also going to die. And now usually when we debate also in the studies, we always debate about this impermanence. We always say the sound is impermanent because it's made, it's created, and everything that's created is impermanent. For example, the vase. But, we give an example that's outside there. I sometimes feel that it's better to give an example that's yourself. So we should probably say that the sound is impermanent because it's created. For example, like myself. So when I understand this, when I can really point finger on myself and understand this, then I can feel this, the impermanence. I can understand more deeply and experientially. And that understanding experientially is very, very important. Otherwise, it will just become an intellectual understanding. So this understanding of the impermanence is something very real, very factual. It's there all the time. People are changing. Even young people can suddenly, due to some accident or some other reasons, they can suddenly die. So there is no certainty of death. There is absolutely certain that everybody, all of us, would die. So this understanding and realization, experiential realization, needs to be very clear. And this impermanence is not just something that's going on outside our life. It's within our lives, within our own experience. This we need to understand this and experience this from within our own experience of our own life.
치계 망부 양아섬스. 나 치계 망부 양아섬스야디 인데 치외 겐 치월 챙긴기 겐 망부 싶으셔 알아서. 그냥 치계 컨트지용 저기 치외 겐 컨트지기 시하고 말았어. 그 뒤용하고 말았어. 드니 디균셀 때네 당아주 가수다 하버도 디상 뒤주리아 루브르도 치위겐 망보시 차리도와 저 추지에라 소거디서 배 신앙성시라래시 베네 뭐라 리규 중고 디상으로 transportation somewhere 다 되게 배 신앙성시라래시 나 드니 뉴스안에 진짜 토하네요 가수지 samdang yevre da dine dijelia dine chigr chidar njua comes chiwe negablia and chiwe negabdelia and kandis nizuru kandis yongore bena susu chiwe negablia nizu kandis yongore nedano kandis yongore te samdo yang dang gores suineya pajiji shindu yomare shindu yomardine 마시 까메레 가르레사나 깨바 인상 오치고 와 가선 깨점 니네 치외 등니도 주바 인송도와 지 깨점 니네 거라 지 치외 겐 유겐 신다고 말아서 깨바 코랑방기 치와 소샤고 그래서 제상 깨점 니네 치외 등니도 주바 인송 제상 마시 까메 인상 신이 시오래 이네 신도네요 말에 대면주산에 미수인이냐 시월에 치위네가는 직자용 거래 아다용 거래 다간나시 딱간다 베셈리아 동해십시 용 거로 봐. 다 동해십시 용 거에 비해서 급디주잖아. 가르치기 인스다. 다 삼로 콘도 당게 지겨 봤다. 듣다네 봐. 저리죠. 얘네 뉴스 디가리아. 얘네 가서래.
So, the third point is that there are so many circumstances which might cause death. And there's so many things that can become a cause of our death. We don't know which causes or which conditions will cause our death. We don't know when that cause or that conditions will happen. We can die very suddenly, instantaneously. Especially these days, we have so many machines. We have so many, means of transportation, for instance, which are, which can easily become a cause for our death also. So. It's quite fearful. It's quite dangerous. We can think about those things. That there are so many circumstances and causes that could be a cause for our death. And the fourth is meditate on what will happen at the hour of death. What will happen? Now this is something very clear, that nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to live. But we have to die. We have to die because we were born. As soon as we are born, we are bound to die because that's the nature. It is understood, it is said by some great masters that as soon as you are born, you have created the cause for your death because the birth itself is the cause for death. There is no other causes necessary because the birth itself has this element of dying. So therefore, when we die, because we don't want to die, we can have lots of fear, anxiety, sufferings, and we can think about that. So therefore, we need to, what can we do? We need to do something. We need to prepare for that moment, that what can we do when we have to face this, this situation of dying, because there is no escape from that, we need to face that.
라버 동안 좋아 밀이야 치wen 지버디 퍼지 도두디줄 체면로 마시 도두디줄 간데 가자 자지 간다 봐 보면 봐 가르잖아 나좀 뇌바체다 미디 뇌바체다 지단 셰비는 아 상으로 그래 내추럴 섬으로 받아지 릉중기 그래 응외벽이 제다를 지래 제가 응외보 탐지를 진줄렀고 경간 내송데 응외보 탐지 진줄을 지래마도 나도 미치고 경간 내송 제고 응외보 신다데 경간 내송 제마고나 근데 지야 지 삼동안도 가서 지 심두근데 전에 심두 지린을 줄 알아 봐 근데 많은 응외보 상으로 경간 내송 제고래 세상 하나 좀 응외보 제라지 비슷하네 다디고 정신 내주로 섬으로 정신도 지당 대 인샤샤도 지내고 아 로데본도 지내는 바시 소나 되고 동해 태바 용무 말 아이비네 아주 미디 다다 마 진짜기 마주베 정신레 벤데네 주메기 남도다 존도 많차바 인두사네 디균젠데네 나라도 동해이냐 대박 뭐 지원이 라버도 베 치웬지과 망보지 or 치와 코란 직차네 뭐인바 나랑 주지 되바치아탄 시규 시년 만되네 수년 되네 근데 그 되바치아탄 왕기 때는 양지 동해 되바지 아주 용데 있으래 드림이 디균셀 때네 딱 개치셔도 근데 제제 배 치와 당len체도 같이 except 치와디 당돌len체 시 그래 개발민도 신이시그레 다 동해치 사는 개발민도 삼바르지 치와라 다지 치와라 가와드 지다 마주네 치와라 가와 마주네 치와라 미자바 치와 당돌렌도야 그러지 되네 정보입니다 어느 바지 가서야 되고 동해 퇴비 연구 말아와 에시면 네네 다들이 좀 바자디 다다네 바 traditional 마도 산이 치렌지 제 작고지 제식이 인사르지 어디 용도 하고 말해서
So this I feel that we human beings have so much fear of death, and it seems that we have even more fear of death than the animals. I think it's because we are too greedy, we have too much attachment. Everything that exists have these three stages of, birth, then remaining, and then dying. Or it happens, and then it remains, and then it dissolves. This thing is not something that some kind of things can go through and others do not. So it's everybody, including our human beings, everybody has to go through these three stages. But then, because we are so much if we understand this, if we would understand this, that this is something completely natural. As soon as we are born, as long as we are born, we have to die, and this is something natural. We have to accept this, understand this. If we do that, then maybe we can die with more kind of peace of mind. We don't need to create so much, pain and so much anxiety. But the human beings, we are two kind of we create so many thoughts and so many different kind of hopes and anxieties and things like that. Therefore, we kind of create lots of pain and lots of worry and lots of anxiety on something that's quite natural. Because we like to live, we like to, and what we like, we should try to have and things like that. So therefore, we cannot accept death. We need to accept what is natural. We need to accept our death. Even if, we cannot be joyful about dying, we need to accept the death. So therefore, this is something, then only, if we can do that, then only maybe we can reduce fear of death. But this would not happen just automatically or suddenly. We need to prepare for that from now. We need to learn to understand. We need to, work on it. We need to, bring this kind of experiences up. And so therefore, we need to prepare. We need to prepare to accept the situation, how the reality is, and therefore, slowly we can kind of free ourselves from unnecessary fears and unnecessary anxieties, because most of these anxieties and fears are something that we have created, and it's not really necessary if we understood the things very clearly and accepted the situation.
치외 접세는 라도 치외 처직세는 라도 다간다 다윈세는 라도 다디 배 다다는 책을 말해서 제산 남아 고만남기 아니 다음 명아로 지리야 수수기 니마지디 아니 미지지 임베베 차르 샤지 남쇼베야 메세나는 랑용두 이제 아메 고베난 게버르치 차르샤 드네 추 장들라서 제베 걸이야다 부담부 견로도 봐 추이게발라서 다든 다나시 에너지 세다 주게야베 가수르지 이 클래스에 걸리면은 다 부지 볼이야 세다 주기 초종 제베 소르체 드네 준비해도 첨부 차 내가 잘 수업들이지 미매가체 되네 안에 공다바 메세난 루두사네 안 바지지 지시 소신로에 말이지 드니지 상로도 안체 도스바체나 드니지 셰비미나 안다디 가르쳐 초진에 배윤을지 망부용디도 배윤 숨즈르용디도 초진에 가르선디 니마지디미냐 미지지 능신바 린탕당 rintangsha tilya za chimbu zi ti ke chimbu zi yong du sa ne nima chi gi yimbe de te chola me ro chi yaw shira yo sa re da pen shin nima chi kar do sa na tene ya ji chiwa sa de kashi ji samle na ro ji ka shu da muna ro ji chiwa sa du sa ne dark ji jawa me ya ba muna ro ji 따이면이야 치와 미다바세요 무슨 초진이 미다바데 오늘은 opportunity 고급 직당 레와사바지 고급 사바지라지기 어딘지기 배 외낭에 되지 light 외낭에 되지 바지 말을 가르잖아 까만 가시지기에는 수수기 랭에 뭐 사지 미 독자를 제유비냐 까만 가시지 제라고 두주 사브를 지래 야 미사브를 차윤 두산 디거리아 소술이야 미상에 간지 셴마지 땅마치아요 지당 아니 가수래 미상부지 차 고주가 아직 고급 지역이 인두사 디기야 미다바사데 주와 미다바사데 야고 가수래 초지 디지 문화로 지대와로 세라서 마이마 디레와요 되지 제도 다 숨바테 가르잖아. 전대지가 다 냠내 제비나 니마 딱바르지 치와래야 저지를 체제. 에너지 니마 딱바르지 두 삼단데비나 ngone sani chiwa rakpan rabdi ngone chane ge chiwa jidana nima takwa re ta shisa marbe kenga ne sum chedi yorde nimbe ne ta chiwa rakpa rabo ngone kyube ne gole 나 간다 니마 타바레 삼단디 기비 인사 시와라 봉모도 기비 내가블래 안다 칼라 칸사브르지 오 가르소에 디지 루브르도지 짬마시 바지 레바르시 모임바 다디 남윤이 남균데니 지 소소여기 지 삼련나는 예데비지 저지 예데비 니즈르 태용고 예비 인두사네 다들이야 소소카 가리니미네 지 데이지 가서 대점식이 지금 지원하는 지금도 그러지 바지 용도 가버렸으면 되거든요.
So, therefore, we need to prepare. We need to do something that makes us prepared for that time of death. There is a very important instruction from the great masters of the past about how to prepare this. And one of them is that we should consider a day as a life, as one life, one day as one life. When we wake up, it's like we are born. Then when we kind of wash ourselves, we feel that that's the time when a baby, after having born, is being washed. Then we eat. Then we feel that we are fed with milk and all kind of things. And then slowly, we go through every stage of the life. And in the day when we go through all the stages, we feel that we are going through life. We become young, we become old, like that. And finally, when we go to bed and go to sleep, we feel that we are dying, we died. And again, next morning, we feel that we are born again. So this to think that each day, we treat each day as a whole lifetime. Now this has three very important benefits. This practice has three important benefits. So the first one is that we understand the value of life, value of one day, because usually, the day goes by just like that, and we don't kind of value too much if you waste one day. But if we see a day as a whole life, then we cannot waste time. We cannot waste a moment. We cannot waste any stage. So therefore, we have more value or more importance. We have to give more importance to every hour of our day. So therefore, we value the day much more, and that is the first benefit of this practice. And then the second is that when we usually think that when we die, that's kind of the end. That's a darkness, the end of our hope. There's nothing more. So it's something that is, that's kind of fatal, finished. But when we understand the impermanence, when we see each day as a life, then each day, each moment, the impermanent itself is an opportunity, because there is no, it's not the end. There is no kind of a complete darkness. There is a radiance. There is hope. So therefore, that if we have done something wrong, if we have been not a good person this moment, then that doesn't mean that's the end. After some time, after some moments, after some days, we can become a good person again, because it's impermanent. So therefore, there's always an opportunity. There's always a chance. There's always an opportunity to change it and to become better. So therefore, also, this is a very important practice, because when we practice this, we see opportunities much more clearly. The third benefit of that is that it becomes a preparation for the death, a preparation that we do every day. Every day we are born and going through the life, and then death also. So experientially, we are going through the life every day, again and again. So therefore, when the death comes, it's not something suddenly happening, something that we never have thought about or experienced before. We have some kind of experience how the changes take place and how we go through these changes and things like that. So we get certain kind of understanding or certain certainty of fearlessness. So therefore, it becomes a preparation. It becomes a strong preparation for the death, because something that happens that is changing all the time, and that that is a natural thing, but we don't understand it, we don't experience it. So therefore, if we try to experience it again and again, then we would learn to experience the natural process as the natural process. So therefore, there is not much need to have too much, anxiety and all this kind of things. So therefore, because of these reasons, this practice can have lots of benefit.
따드네 타마디 신이 지들은 유아삼사.
Then at the end, the fifth, think about what happens after death.
다디 뭐네 가수에 신이 가수에 다 가르쳐를 써야지. 다배 가수에지. 당 아주 원수는 미그 통해야 말해. 이는 아주 마통바 점식이 가야 저거 말에 가야 요 말에 슬라도 말. 가르했으나 아주 다다 하마고비 시점 먹어지여디 문제 되버래. 나라 하마고 든지 사람도 하고 망보충하래. 지리가 토네. 단동이나야 단동알 하고에 시제텔에 ngar ha ma go be shije chang ma la kya chwa ye bi yu sa di jun zen de ne nga zhe ene ji nga zhe ha ma wo zhen jin da nga zhe de ji ka shu ji be du jie ge ji gui du jie se nan du bang da men ni be zhen xi ge de me ba res la du ma le de di jun zen de da gan da ji xi cha ne yang en da ji ge wang nga chi ke le ge bu chi mi mi na en da ji xi cha ne men ru ye na da de ge do de 이내 시산의 면로와 마인바 라양 지카주에다 이제된 버르서 말하다지 겨와 시엔다 시엔타도 겨와 랭기여지 다 디급리야 아니 소소 류단 롱죄는 서버 냠도 좋아하면 가른 냠도 좋으랬으나 랑게 싸베 레까나디 냠도 좋으랬어 레까나디 냠도 좋고요래 제가 레까나 그러지 싸베 이네야 디기 아니 때 겨왕같이 상행 간지 용모요 사데 텔라 땡고 여비 인주스 텔라라 류데 빈주사네 디균전 되네 아니 겨와 다다임이냐 가르쳐야 마음발이야 기부용아 지 포기한 진비기다 마음ben dülam 다가다지 dülam 진부지리야 삼단지 미지직 말에 미지니 말에 다가다지 다 코안에 마타르파도 되지 처럼 망고지만 라이브 인상 딘데기지 처럼 만비기 팬데 라보치 야참 가서 팬데 라보치 사람도 팬데 야참고 디체도 아주 지 세터리 치동디네 치동디 르동고 중반이나 봐 르르 동제 다간다 저리로 가르쳐고 있는 데 제거해야 돼 개점으로지 자되게 유설해
So what will happen after death? Now this is a question that we cannot actually see. We cannot actually know what happens after death. But just that we cannot see it doesn't mean that there's nothing. That there is nothing, or it ends, everything ends, and there's nothing. That cannot be proved. Because it's been proved again and again through science and through many ways that what the people thought it was true before, or what people didn't understand before, came to be known later. And so therefore, even now, there are lots of things that we don't understand. There may be more things that we don't understand than we actually understand. So therefore, that we cannot see something, or that we cannot, kind of scientifically or actually show something, does not prove that there is nothing there. But if it is the case that after death there is nothing, everything ends, then it's okay. There's also no problem then. But if it doesn't, and then if it is according to the understanding that there is life after life, and we have to go through this experience of life after life, then it is important that we prepare for it. When we die, we cannot carry with us our body, we cannot carry with us our wealth. All these things we have to leave behind. We cannot carry them. What we carry with us is our actions, our habitual tendencies. So this is the thing that we have to carry with us. And what kind of a life we will have in future has to depend on those things. What kind of a karma, what kind of actions, what kind of a state of mind we have, that is something that we need to carry on. So therefore, we need to prepare. We need to prepare for our future, for our long future, not just one life, but life after life after life, many lifetimes. So we need to look, we need to prepare, we need to have a kind of overview or a certain kind of agenda on what we will do to prepare for the great benefit and the great kind of positive things for ourselves in many lifetimes, in lots of lifetimes. And we need to do that. We need to think about that. And for that, to prepare for our kind of a long or lasting future, long-term future, even if I have to sacrifice this short life, it should be okay. So I need to, prepare with such a kind of a long or a distant view that this short life doesn't become not that important.
다드네 가르쳐고도 사나 주제는 어디 제자 다든 저기 레 주제사야 돼 오늘 지 텔레야 중지하래 엄마 라마지하라스 라마지기에는 기모지를 쳐송하라스 기모질 디기 사운드 보스 깨게면도 잡로 사운드 보스 깨게면도 제가 감지 쏴도나 디게 맞으면 아주 르부지 생기 있으면 엄마 라마지 지 기모지 쳐송하라스 안타 기모지 쳐송바 개회 팬 디베니미디 송하라스 대소인도 사네드네 마데 디디디 그래 디디 Any soon use than any Gimundi, that can't those. I can't now use her. And Gimundi give a pain shading Lama Choram got the Gimungai. Takalakanzam Yonsa those. The Ben Yimish Gimunga got Lama Choram. Kalekabo is a sedosa. Lama Choram Bekalakabo redus. That in Munga Nuak on here water. Lended Tashi Tower and the Kalakabo Missuine. And it leaves that cutting or sana. Lende be Tashin Tower and be Zemgoar, Casual Taba, Digisudua. Tiambe Gewa La Teso Piso Shelters. Gewa Sadi, Andrew Gewa Sodusane, Trambo le Belanguis, Trambotis. Trambotis, Jan Tonga de Trambo de Nemakodwa, the Zugi, any Nimachilia, and that Casual Homuchi Tomato Tizumche. Homuchi Toba in Mina, that was December government change, that the Ninji Yaboji Tosso Summer Yungores. Jazza Tana Shang around in here, Gawachima the summer to be in there, that thing when it in a Gawachi sat with the Gawagom, take joy get the showers. Then there might be something as you Gawaso to Gawachimbuji, Gawachambuji is awesome. That they are Chubutis. Chubutis, that energy Chalar Nevin, Jalabe, Conche, Minche, Moderate Nevin, and Moderate Ziggers in your shadow. You know, that they Chitang mean the Yoto Marvata. Jazang Azul Gawasudus and Trambon and Jene. There's San, and the Casual, Sodum, Chesopis of Shell. That the Miguadi Nyomo Batista, Rabara Summerta, Sosoliata, Nyomo Mango Shibja, Nyomo Banamra Manta, Taim in Nyomo Batista, Debjilia, Tujilia, Nyamodentia, Kalahostare. That is invasion to send a Nyamodenwa. They are Tambu, Sosol Tambu, Bekar Nyomo Sube, Shoe chair, Mungur chair, Nuba chair, Tingy la Pa, Carson Nyamboten, take out to day. Tinebe, Rimbaniva Suba Chese, and that Cheshirus and the shower mother. I knew Mombal Nyamboten Chese, Becarsole, Nyomo Bandilla Nyambon de Trans, Zan Med of Chilia, Nyomobal and Nyamboten Chese, the Carsol that you Chipom of the Carsol. Today, by Shashana, the Majunam Nyomoba, Sosoli, Kadu Be, Nato Zagi says, Nagorangalia Zagam, De Majezan, the Unji Chipom of the Hayam that tomorrow, Yomoba Samayabo Mare, Sarujipa, Karuji, Samolea, the Kasuetaji, Pa Samlobe, Hamzerijipa, Pangshavati, Pasitri Gimarson. But I'm going to never relation to be. Also, Sosola, Nyum Panja, Sosola, Nyambo Sosobe, the was Titoli and Roji down, any Titol Kevachi, Chawadi, case of time, the Dagandora, that is it.
So, there is a story, anecdote, that one Lama was teaching an old lady. And after he gave some teachings, then he asked this old lady, what do you understand? What do you think about? So this old lady said that if I listen to what you say about the positive kind of a benefit of doing positive things, then let alone yourself, your Lama, but even me, this old lady, will have no problem. We'll go to Dewachen or some really great place to be reborn. But, she said, if I listen to the negative effects of the negative deeds from you, then to my mind, it comes to my mind that let me be alone, but even you, Lama, I don't know what will happen to you next life. You may go to hell then. So this is what the old lady said, and this is an important thing because, it's kind of, she tried to experience what has been taught and understand it from a kind of experiential perspective. So therefore, when we are preparing for our death, we need to accumulate positive deeds. We need to get rid of our negative actions and negative emotions and things like that. But how to do that? It is said that in order to accumulate positive deeds, you need to do it like a beggar. You need to do it like a poor people. If you look at how beggars do, even if you give 1 rupee or something like that, very little thing, they cherish it, they keep it very preciously, one by one, all these little things they collect and they keep it, and they take lots of care that even little things they receive are, kind of kept in, and they value them and things like that. That's how they earn their living. So in the same way, we need to be able to appreciate and value each and every little positive thing that we do. We need to collect them. We need to accumulate them. And, like a beggar, small, even a very small positive deed we do, we should not kind of throw it away or waste it. We have to be we value it and we keep it with great kind of care. And so if we accumulate like that, then we can slowly accumulate lots of positive things. Usually when a very rich person, sometimes we feel that if you don't do something great, something very big positive thing, then it's not positive. We don't care, or we don't kind of value small positive deeds that we do. A rich man buys very valuable things, big cars, very kind of big things. So in the same way, we want to do the positive things also. But it cannot be, because we don't have that circumstances or the situation that we can do. All of us cannot do some big thing, but that doesn't matter. We have to do it small by small and value those small things, appreciate, rejoice, a little bit, whatever positive things we could do. That's very, very important. That's the one point. Another point is how to get rid of negative deeds. Now, this is also very important because we have lots of negative emotions. We have lots of negative things, and so therefore we need. It's not easy to have a kind of to do something that will end all of them. We cannot do something, or there is no one thing that we do, and then all these negativities and negative emotions are completely, gone. There is nothing like that. So therefore, we need to, work on the most strongest negative thing that we have. If we have a very strong, certain negative emotion, we need to first work on that. We can't just do it like, I'm going to practice Dharma and then kind of do something general, and we don't kind of pinpoint our problems or our negative emotions. That way it wouldn't work, because then we didn't really work on point by point, on item by item. So therefore, we don't really have an antidote to them. So therefore, we have to really, work on each and every problem we have. And that also, the most important or most kind of a strongest problem we have to first work on them. And then if we can do that, then slowly, we can work on many things. So therefore, it's very important to recognize our faults, our negativity, and then, kind of identify that, and then work on that particular thing. If we have some kind of a pus or some kind of a something, then we need to first work on that, not that, all the body. So therefore, in the same way, we need to work point by point, and that we have to do. It's not that we do something and then automatically everything goes well. It's not like that. We need to identify, we need to kind of select that, we need to work on that particular problem, and just really identifying and working on it, directly. That is the way we should prepare for our death.
Oh yeah, that digi tenjoni ga da chuo me da ba digi enemy chendi nangshi do ba di tabli ya de ni bo de song yi ba da lo do nem si na ne ni bo de do song yi ba de dren ju san da chen le tong sa de ne ga ro di la in ju san ne de ne in ju san ne din ji lama 고만함 기 송리 야베 첸디 푼소 주발라 베 제지베 로예베지 로지예나 베 제지베 첸디기 련련 롱지 푸순 초바 줌드에게 데기베 로지예베 이미나 제지베 로지예베 이미나 다 델레 셔 주발라 바지 셔와 메스 대안은 지주 마발로지기 분직된데 르마통버 첸디 자와도 담배 취했어 세나스 반주 세야 취디 쇼스임바 취디 쇼스임바 테라이스 도수하다 되지 뭐 간다라 첸디당 첸디베기 드니베 가서버려 자와도 담배 취했어 이미나 다 취디 쇼스임바 취 간다라 취 냠내사디 매바 劝你们啥明大于没不长，这里就是打，这里先打完了，趁的团队你话是不是？肯定这里是打，趁的团队你话是不是？然后就是三档课，克拉萨抽我们那边，土罗根抽我们那边，亚那就看出来，当年的早晚的月抽我们那边。 아는 다나 신기 아주래다 첸디 딱 간다 창문으로 왜 처음 말을 했으나 대야만 나 조디 근데 고르바디 디 고마라선 디 삼바사라 칼라사 고르마도 칼라마세나 신도르바 시소나 쉐크레스 둘러마견 차니 양시도로 시소나 쉐크레스 두르 다 데베 칼라미자 둘러마견 베디 다 치신도 정말 치신 양서 랜딩인데 지주밀라레 버전 있었다 다이메고 지주밀라레 버디 되는시 미창매 전중 말아 데 창매 제고 말라 지단데 야보 시브레 데인데 미창매 제고 말아다 미창만 코란의 야보를 미창만데 야보 말아봐요. 드레인 주사네 밀레레바나 시정 아주진 로아지 니마지 바지 대고 말해. 강동보 드리질 치, 리동보 드리질 치. 둘러네 레토지만도 그냥 말 레디 둘러디 레데베치 바지 그냥 말다. 드니 강리동보 드리갈이야. 강 딘디죠. 장ар 딘디죠. 다 장세 내고 그다음에 미주숨 집중 없지 과이네 지금 인기를 받아. 딘디지요 아래. 칼 사야네요만. 잡을 거야네요만. 다 딘디지 과대도 그러지. 딘디주산에 주밀레 지하데 코란의 야보래 미상문데 야보에 이메지 제도 말와. 딘디주산에 딱 한다야. 첼르 통사한테 가르쳤잖아. 칼라사 쇼메 둘러근 쇼메 다가난신 땀니나 요초메 쓰고 말해 다와나 가르를 쓰고 말았잖아 참
So now these two the precious human life and impermanence are the first two of these four points to reflect on, to turn your mind to the Dhamma. And it said that with these two, then if we reflect on this in the right way, this will turn our mind from being completely dedicated to this life or just wanting only well in this life. Now this, there is a teaching, there is a general kind of teaching from the great masters of the past. And they say that if you are really only interested, accomplishing a good life or the positive things of this life only, then that would become the greatest obstacle for your Dhamma practice. And this is also said by Marpa, that if you really want to practice Dhamma, you have to give up you have to give up to wanting to accomplish good things for this life. You have to give up this life. That's what Marpa said, that you cannot mix these two things, that you want to have a kind of worldly success and the Dhamma success cannot go together. It has to be separate. That's what Marpa said also. Now the question arises, what does that mean? What does that mean that we have to give up this life's concerns? What does that mean? It does not mean to say that we should not have food to eat, we should not have clothes to wear, we should not have popularity or fame and all these things that we need in this life. You cannot say that. It's not possible. We need food. If we don't have food, we will die. So then we cannot practice Dhamma. So how can we say that we don't need food? We need food. We need clothes also, because if we don't have clothes, we will freeze to death. And in the same way, we need all those things. There is nothing wrong with those things. There are some people, there are very few people who have actually practiced this literally, like Milarepa, Jetsu Milarepa. He didn't need food to eat, he didn't need clothes, he just had one shawl, and then he went up in this, the very high snow mountains in the Himalayas and meditated there. But that's very special, that's very good for him. That was very great. That was, that we understand how great that was. But it doesn't mean that that's good for us. It's not good for us, because we will not be able to do that. If we try to do as he did, and with all the things that he had, if we went up on the Himalayas, we wouldn't survive maybe even one day, because, we will freeze to death, because up there it's below maybe 20 degrees or 30 degrees below zero, the temperature, and then if we have nothing to eat, we will not survive. We cannot even survive one day. So how can that be good for us? It would not work. So therefore, it is very important to understand this, that when we say we kind of give up the worldly concerns or the concerns for this life, it does not mean to say that we should not have food to eat or clothes to wear, or we do not have good kind of name or fame, wealth, all those things. It does not mean to say that we don't need all those things.
Number solely, Besson Shubin. Tinsan Yag against Dililia. Moda Milling Charles. Millinga. 밀린습 사야르바 사양아 bombayda chennaida kalikata 가서 상말로 모라초지 domshana 야 딜리기 모터 장가 두고 말았어 다들 지금 모터 망고죠 다 가두이나 파주 땡스 조는 모터 상만 잠차서 말 모터 상만 가네 아까래 가고 싶죠다 사바르도 에너지 맹간나는 자자는 조금이들이 시부지 갈래서 조용하스게 게뭐 맹간게 엠블리스트지 맹간 모터도 게다 년달 땅땅 가지도 년달 땅마다 가면 저서게 다드네 내 모터 땅에 들고 TV 뭐 진짜 딜릴 모터 엄마는 마르 친도 와스 엄마디 자갈렌도 완드제 망고미도 진짜 마르 친도 와스 아다 마르 친어스 단도 모터 마르 주스 니마 타바르스 바 니마르라 모터 사바 숨동자 모터 땅게 드라이버 칼로와 숨동자 지기 레지스트레이션 지가 와스 토겸 모터 땅초아 라게 슈팅 와스 제가 다 가르스네 근데 지금 모터 망보지 근데 잘 오르스들 주상 다디 아니 소수 정보 김치 지금 모터 진유에나 다 소수지 오늘 지금 많이는 탐해봐 지금 오차 되네베 가서지 다는 신 카징니 다 녀셔 버렸다 다는 자갈 모터도 관심을 시작 말았어 네 녀셔 데르다 센디바스 주사는 신차 모터 녀고면 수수 삼려고 땅만다 수수응에네 녀고도다 민도 수수기 에 딜로 고반도다 민도 소소리아 삼동요 미신다 가래 제디도 미신다 제치다 소수 대 제자래 네 다디 베 미좀네 레가레샤르 마도 베게 미단 삼려 뭐 따는 제야도 오늘은 거버지더라도 너무 거버지더라도 삼당 딜레야다 천디바사드 니지리 이마다 간다 천디베 샤바사디 고미고 자는 삼로마단지 미신다 가르치기도 다나 실수 제자로 제마도 미소소설 남주의 요래 디 남주의 제되지 소소수기 지 초탑이나 라블리후드 자나다 소와게다를 미지게다데 소소솔리아 투뭉머인 버를 용초로 받이 인지미지 미신다 가르치기도나 대체고하며 응게 되네베 가서다 지 라마다 죽dob디죠 코란조 기드니지 넘버 타바 신더미더리게 넘버 타바 신더미더리 땡윤 비싸네 고 안치 캐주 믹스에르 차네 미스하메기 땡아 유루 차디요래 다가는 신 안주 제초하듯이 그냥 아주 지가 없다 아주 믹좀네 다가리나 봐 제샤 다는 신 디전도 말 따진사 총바디주이네 나란줄 든제기 베 가서 밀롱기 셴바지 여바디 하코니 내가 저기 대 배주 땅네 다바디 배주 땅 되는 담을 찹다 담을 땅 TV 나는 찹다 땅나 에다 랑갈 찹다 자나 에다 다 지금 제윤도 사네 미상말로 되네 베 디기 베 고군도 사네 되네 전화도 돌아와 쳐요 엄마 TV 디지 나는 바바던데 motorcycle motor 가서디 motorbike 찹다 땅 뮤직 비네도 돌아나 버리고 남네 봐 풀용도 아무도 괜찮아지 이제 난 가지 괜찮아지 근데 질이야 대 야네 안 떠주사 오오 알았는데 되지 즉보다지 잔 전화서 말을 찍고 소셔도 아직 알아서 아주 천디베다 현자 진짜게 뮤롱기 셴바 남주의 링니에다 고무고 근데 삼로 마다치 녀장 가 제장을 제시비사 델된다 지고래 리비산 티균제데 진리지기다 미지겐 또 조스게미도 돼 근데 니 소수 미질 미세 고바스게미도 소수 미질 미세 캐주 미세 고바 미세 페인스게미도 리 티균제데네
So, I would like to give an example for this. In Delhi nowadays, there are 5 million cars in Delhi alone, in the city of Delhi. If you combine all the cars that are in Bombay and Chennai and many other cities of the India, it's still the more cars in Delhi than all of them together. So therefore, there is always traffic jams. And even to go to the hospital, even it's very difficult. Even if you have an ambulance, and even the ambulance kind of puts on its siren, you cannot go through. It's totally jammed. And then it's that many cars, and it's still increasing. Once I was driving in Delhi, and then I asked my driver that there are so many cars here. There's more cars here now than before, I said. And he said that, of course, there's more cars, and there will be more cars. It will go on increasing because, he said, each day there are 3,000 new drivers getting their license, and they're getting registered. So therefore, the traffic is like that. Now, why is like that? It's like that because, if my neighbor has bought a car, then I feel I cannot be without a car. So if my neighbor has a car, I must buy a car myself also. Whether I really need that car or not doesn't matter. But I have the car because I have to have a car because my neighbor has the car. So this is the way we kind of think and we work. We don't look, we don't think, we don't properly see whether to have a car for myself is really making my life better, or it's a good thing for me to have a car, or, It's just that people have cars, so that my neighbors have cars, other people have cars, so I must have cars. And so we kind of go about that with our eyes closed. We don't really see whether that is a good thing for me or not a good thing for me, or is there another way of living which is better for me? How should my livelihood would be better and nice and special? We don't think about that. We just go about doing things because everybody is doing it in a very blind way. And that is how we lose our freedom. Many businessmen understand this, understand how we are just, blindly doing things because other people are doing that. So therefore, they take advantage of that. That's why they advertise. They advertise so many different things, and I've once seen an advertisement of a motorbike. And this motorbike, a person who was kind of wearing a dark kind of leather jacket was flying with his motorbike. And it's kind of a little bit ridiculous, but then I understood that this, when people see this, people think, oh, this is very nice. Maybe I should have the same way. I should also fly with this motor. And then they buy it. And that's how, we do things without thinking, without properly understanding whether this way of life, this way of livelihood, this way of taking things is good, useful, beneficial, or not. We don't think like that. We just do it because everybody does it. And we are so much attached to that. We are so much kind of into it. So this is, I think, the most important thing. I think this is what we call it, too much kind of concern of this life, attached to the concerns of this life, is, I think, talking about that, that we are not understanding or thinking or properly using our mind and brain to see what would be really useful and good and beneficial for me and others, but just doing it because other people are doing it, and then people take advantage of that and advertise and then make all of us under their control.
제가 네 동해를 시행사. 배나 인상 배나 딱 보다 보면 동발이 중요한다면 먹고 싶도아. 아주 잡라던 데서 네 매나 다 저랑 미세 니보 말았다. 네 중요하면나. 아 저랑 가서 다 제보요 말이 미 저랑 가버치고 말이 제리 니리 숨레스. 난 니지 조시하나 남상 밀 남상 미 다요레스 저랑 도난치그래 제리 니리 숨레스 다 먹고 싶으세요. 다들 동해지를 다한테 녀로. 대저는 공세죠. 오늘 야뇨 야한테 로송 되어버렸다. 오늘 제나다 소소 제버는 도움도 소소 다주 제어마다 미주 라말라 다스케 말다. 드네 주산에 다디 이내 띵아주 마다체 미드라르지 주산 텔텐 다 되면 딱 아차서 소사라지 된 거로. 예, 야고스게 됩니다. 다가는 집에는 디산지 가수라다지 셀폰 가바를 락토 가바도 망고시 비용이 알아 제자한테 디나니 디 애플 컴퍼니 스페셜 요 아이폰 다 아이패드 다 좀 망고도 양한테 좀 녀주고도 미상마 다 지금 녀연도 산에 오늘 전한테 인지민지 아이폰 거르베선 뭐야 윤선시라 다 있네 미상마로 뒤지 개점 자점으로 찍주사 소소래 지금 매난 적으면 탑차 매난 탑차 아디지 녀였다 야나네 부지기 엄마 아이패드지 녀였다 지도 그랑 캐마 종샤 캐마 니여라 봐 캐마지 종샤 근데였다 근데 다 되게 상으로 가라잖아 가란 주기 남주의 배제 마당한테 다 셴바 지당 셴바 정도 마세요 뮤롱 셴바 미좀니 바다 가르쳐베 베 셴바 쳔네 내가 쳐자 아 될텐데 니 좀 하고 이제 요니 거래 니 디균zel 되네 아 되지 지겨마 최사다 가르쳐 아 남주의 미바 당네 에네베 상당히 펜다데 다나지 게다 미기 tindebe 가서베 삼로 리버타에 쳐야지 최스가 어때네 신도 규가 최스야지 요마네 드린 디균셀 때네 에네 간다라 지 첸디바 마치 자데 균셀 가라산 tinde게 미좀니 소소 남주의 미 상행이 야와 마제비 체제 에네 베지 tinde게 가서다 지 셴베기 랑 되베제스규 생기베 가서 착베제스규 근데 제비나 아주 미지디 소소 미지디 전담해 버리지. 신나 상만 집어 안을 차네. 텔레 미세 캐줘야 돼. 미세기 린탕이 돼. 개 차고 와만. 드리 미준전데네. 소소 미지디 최사데. 소소 미지디 린탕지 그려야지 이미 인두사. 대 린탕지 용버 채벌이야. 소소 남주기 제되네. 호 린탕지 속으로 마도베. 대 미진다 치루지다는 디제선 단 치비나. 호 미세 가서 대 린탕지 처음 말어. 드리
So that's suffering. And I've seen that these days the boys and girls have lots of things to put on, lots of different kind of creams and other things to put on their face. And also on the hair. And they think that if they don't have that, then their life is meaningless, miserable. And if they put it on, then something great will happen. Everybody likes them, and they become very beautiful, and all these things. And the mind, they feel as if they cannot live their life purposefully well unless they have all those things. And they are very expensive too. But then they don't think it's really like that or not. Whether those things, if they put on, does it really make it so nice and so wonderful and things like that? Whether I am beautiful or not is something different. You can be very beautiful without those things also. And I have to make myself beautiful. But then these things are advertised, and because somebody says or everybody says like this, so I have to do it also, without thinking, almost blindly. Like these days, there's a kind of a craze for cell phones, and especially these things that made by Apple, iPhone, iPad. People are crazy about them, after them. People are really mad after iPhone and all these things. I've heard that in China there was one guy who sold his kidney to buy an iPad. So we don't really think, we just go after, blindly, with attachment, with craving, but not just for craving with blindness. That's the worst part of it. We don't see whether this is really good or not, whether this is going to bring kind of a true happiness or true good things for me or benefit or not. We don't even think that. We are too much craving for having things, and that craving is not based on understanding, but just, just like fashion or just like advertisement or completely like blindly. Now, the Dharma practice, Dharma is not like that. Dharma is thinking with our own mind, with our own intelligence. Dharma is about opening our eyes. We have to open our eyes clearly and see what this is, whether do I really need this or not, whether this is really good for you or not, whether what benefit or problems will be created by this, whether it's a positive thing or negative thing, what is it? And by understanding, by clearly looking, whether this is good for me for the kind of more immediate and in the long run or not, and things like that. So the main thing, the difference between the Dharma practice and just craving after, the worldly concern is this, that one is just following the trend. And the Dharma is not just following the trend. It is openly, with open eyes, with clear intelligence, you look and you see for the long term and short term whether this is useful, whether this is beneficial or not, and try to live according to that. Otherwise, we cannot make our life meaningful, because if you just follow the trend, the fashion, and just do what everybody else does, then we cannot have a kind of individual, special kind of a life that we have to live. We just do everything else as everybody else is doing. So therefore, we cannot really find a true meaning of life. We cannot find a true purpose of life. We cannot find kind of from our own side how to live life in a more beneficial and useful way. So this is, I think, what I understand.
Telea Jungjiare. Uma busy Shakishi is an Rakombe, Bendit Chimushire. Compare the Pebe Goblia. And a Peggy bear, Lama Tamzelo, bear, the neve, Tashuin, the nebe, Jachimatas. Tamalo, Tarambon, Tashuin, Jachimatas. Did you say a bear Musachi, Lamacho? Kongi in it? Tambo characters, that bended the symbol of very pebble in Zan. That did use a jag bended the Jindashi job of the Pebe. Jazan and bended the symbol of very pebble in Zan, Jagada Rodo, some temperance. Younger took some shade, you son. Or that tongue, do good you Numo Bane, and Dundos. Get good you Salangotoban, Kendos. But the bended that got a tenor, telling Lawa Chigu some others. Then the Madonna desire something, Carson, Mandro. And charging the Jury Sabra Tongo, charging time in the charging in the Carson, some of Tang, Cheshire, but the gas Mandro, 당보 저거 섬이네 삼도 산에 미신다 삼으로 우전디 저센다 빈빈디 펜도서 우저 잡는 쪽으로 공기디 우저의 제수 만들어지 삼로 리버르단 저거도 못 삼로야 보다네 되네 만들어 제상 뒤준전되네 간다르 소소수기 따제 钱 소수 따제 땅네 방저 년보 동电路 대소를 배 2,000번씩 충분히미나 신이 지 가수다 에너지 취업 남다를 차 기부 담바를 차 나는 신지 이제 천리 방바스네요 근데 좀 지르 이래 근데 맞아나 디스가라 하면은 좀 정도
So there's a story that one time the Panchen Shachashri, the great Indian Pandit, came to Tibet, and all the Tibetan lamas went to receive him, riding their horses and, in a very kind of elaborate way. Because at that time, the Panditas were very highly regarded by the Tibetans and were very much respectful. And then there was this master called Ben Rinpoche. And Ben Rinpoche also thought that I should go and see this Pandita Shachashri because this is the first time that the Pandita Shachashri is coming to Tibet and he is a great Pandita, so I must go and see him. But then he thought again and he said, well, the main thing for me is to work on my negative emotions. And that I am doing. And the second thing that I have to do is that I have to get this, the experiences of different bhumis and, on the right path. And that I am doing. So why should I go to see the Pandita? There's no really necessary to go and see the Pandita. So he didn't go to see the Pandita. And now this is very important because everybody was going to see this Pandita. But this Lama, the Ben Rinpoche, he didn't go by the, by the mob. He didn't just go because everybody was going. He was looking at it in a more kind of, from his own point of view. He was examining, he was thinking. So therefore, and then he found that it was not necessary to go to see the Pandita, and so he didn't go. So this is important. The main thing about the Dhamma is about that we just don't follow the mob. We just don't do things because people are doing it. We just don't follow things blindly, but think properly, examine, and see if I do this, what would be the result? What good things will come out of it? What bad things will come out of it? Is it good for now and in the long run? So when I understand this, and then if I do things that I am clear that will bring good things, benefit for myself and others, then actually I'm practicing Dharma. I'm practicing true Dharma. And that's what, then you become a real, good person, not only good person, but the holy person. So therefore, this, I think, is the main understanding of what we say that you should not just be only concerned about the worldly gains or worldly, this worldly life of this life, but have to be more concerned about the Dhamma.
다들 무슨 텐저에 딱 원주 취했으면 다들이 가서디 대전이가 치워입니다. 버디 시라케 좀 그래. 대상을 하고 단 거야. 이내 가시에 원주 세주사네. 가르정을 쓰나? 당분간에 이제 삼로스당 의시 뒤에 봐. 유샤야 그렇지. 이말이지 상당한 원주 세주산. 당분간 냠래 탐 원래야 삼로스당. 의시 가라 봐. 유샤 가르자 원주를 봐. 의심하는 거지. 세상 유샤를 삼당하는. 임베이냐 다디 말해. 원로스라고야 가르스나. 디 원로스야도 의시급리야 디 배주 매바지당 디 냠len 제목이 숨겨마 다 원은 원도스 라과 준선 가르사나 계절 컨디지 샤비네 냠len 컨디지 샤비 담봉 고주 용두네 배 안그 당보코란 당보내지 근데 배 가수에다지 대전이가 치워입니다 발 삼로탄 고주 용두네 배 삼로탄 전에 냠len 집에 내가 탐제도 된저에게 다 간다라 가수에지 냠len다 응은주 냠len다 마제와 치과레 수아 응은주 사과 주서 가라서 응은주 조스 주사네 당분니 배 고주 윤dü니 타마게 봐 과지베 기시거로 마도 야한테 가시 삼는 응은주 주산 당분 고주세 응실레 봐 요산 되게 말해 되네 뒤준전되네 다디 남주 지금부 침벽이 되는 최응실레야 응은주 삽스 숭버디 오늘전에 가수다 숭보다 다는 신기 되네 지주밀레베 치와입니다 마제나 상완뒤바 사바미 치와입니다 자인그러다 잠주 치숨 사바이 제가 치와입니다 바자도 오늘도 유를 마겐 상완뒤바 유기 예버레데 데데샤 사보야만 사마서 사데스는 뱀마벤 따오로다 되네 치와입니다 바 되나 대로 제비나 깜로 찌수마도 만데비나 되고 사부자로랬어. 세븐 펜보시 차로랬어. 다데레 다드린 진짜. 진행상 다 드린 쇼.
So this is the Ngondro, the preliminary, the two of these preliminary thoughts, and this is very, very important. Some people think that these preliminary things are only to be done in the beginning, and then when you actually come to the main practice, you just can leave it, or you don't have to do it. That's not the idea. It's not something that you do in the beginning, and then when you come to the actual practice, then you don't do it or you leave it. That's not the case. What the preliminary means is that this is something that has to be done at the beginning to begin with. It's the most important thing to start with, and from the beginning to the end, whenever you have to practice, this has to be there. If these are not there, then the practice doesn't go well. So that's the understanding. So this kind of reflections, this kind of Ngondro practices needs to be practiced in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end, and all the time. And you cannot do without these things. So that's the most important thing. Very important to understand this. Therefore, the great Degung master said that the Ngondro practices are actually more profound and deeper than the actual main practice. That's what Degung Shopa Rinpoche said. And also, Milarepa said that if you remember the impermanence of death, then if you don't remember the impermanence of death, then even the Guhe Samaja Tantra is not deep, not profound. If you remember the impermanence of the death, then even 3 words of refuge is the most profound one. So this is what he said. This is very important, because if that, reflection or understanding of the impermanence is not there, then although the Guhe Samaj Tantra is the most profound and most deepest Tantra, it's not deep because it doesn't really work on us. So this is very important to understand. So we stop here for this morning.